We're gonna walk down here. Where are your shoes at?
Inside.
Inside?
Yeah.
A doctor let out of his house barefoot, in sweats, claims of teen girls, vape pens, and sex.
I'm gonna be up front, okay? I've got all your Snapchat records.
I'll tell you about the charges the doctor faced and why the case was ultimately dropped. It's shocking. Welcome to Crime Fix. I'm Angenette Levy. Frank Kearse was a doctor with what looked like a really good life, a big house in the suburbs, a wife, and 2 beautiful children. But police say Kearse, like many people, had a secret that he kept hidden. It was dark, and it allegedly involved teenage girls. This case takes us to Sharonville, Ohio, a small city outside of Cincinnati, and to West Chester Township, one county to the north where Kearse lived. On March 10th, police went to Dr. Kearse's home with a search and arrest warrant in hand. A 16-year-old girl reported to police that Kearse gave her vape pens and gift cards, and in exchange, he wanted what police said he called payback. That payback, police claim, was sex.
We're gonna walk down here. Where are your shoes at?
Inside.
Inside?
Yeah.
Okay. We're just gonna put him in this truck. Me and him are gonna attempt an interview. If you guys wanna clear the house, and then we'll start searching.
Okay.
Does that work? Can you guys clear the house?
Sure, it's fine.
Okay. You sit inside.
Sharonville, West Chester Police Department. Is anybody in the house?
No one's in there.
I know. They just got to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Coming in.
Frank Kearse isn't comfortable in the back of that cruiser. It's very clear, but he's not going anywhere.
All right, Mr. Kearse, before you ask any questions, you must understand your rights. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be against you in court of law. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be provided for you before any questioning if you wish. And if you decide to answer questions now without a lawyer present, you still have the right to stop answering at any time until you talk to an attorney. Do you understand? Okay. Do you have any questions at all?
I don't know what this is
Okay.
about.
Okay. I'm pretty straightforward, all right? Does the name bell at all? It doesn't? Okay. Well, she's a 16-year-old girl that you met over on a lot of Gabe's to have sex with.
On what?
The lot of Gabe's in Sharonville to have sex with. Okay. She came in and, long story short, she filed a rape report. All right. You're not being charged with that.
Okay.
You're being charged with importuning, all right, and compelling prostitution.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to be up front. Okay. I've got all your Snapchat records. Got all your text now records. All right. You've been soliciting women, some of which are juveniles, for quite a while. Okay. And there's multiple girls. Multiple girls that are questionable in terms of their age. All right. Exchanging vape pens, sometimes money. You're asking to be a sugar daddy, stuff like that. I'm not here to judge you. All right.
Okay.
But you primarily use your Snapchat account to solicit girls, some of whom happen to be younger. All right. So again, she came in to file a report. What can you tell me about that day you met the second time in person?
I'm just gonna not say anything about anything.
Frank Kearse says he doesn't want to talk, but the officer gives it another shot.
Well, I want you to think about this, okay? I don't think you're like some bad dude. obviously there's some problems going on. With your marriage, what have you, in life in general. Maybe you're just depressed. But you not talking, I mean, I'm not going to hear your side of things. That's all. I don't think you're a monster. You know what I mean? But, okay. I'm going to put you over here in this cruiser. You want to step out?
Which one?
Over here. In the Sharonville cruiser.
Take your shoes? Or?
We will. I'll get you shoes.
Okay.
Do you have anything on you?
No. Well, no. I get on there, I'm kind of embarrassed.
No, I hear you.
Yeah.
Just spread your legs for me. Spread your legs for me. Have a seat. Where's your cell phone at?
In the house somewhere.
Where at?
By the couch.
Okay.
Turn on my camera.
So you got him in that guy's van and interview him? Or did you?
He lawyered up.
Oh.
So, have him hang out for a second.
Sure.
Just hang out for a second. I want to make sure we get his cell phone,
Yeah. I'll just hang out right here.
and I'll explain everything to him.
Okay. All right. Plan.
Huh?
Plan. You
Plan.
going straight to jail?
Well, I want to make sure I identify his cell phone. Keep him here until we identify his cell phone. He said it's probably in his bedroom.
Okay.
So, and then we'll get him out of here.
All right, we have a camera. I'll start snapping photos.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you guys good?
Yeah,
We're good.
As all of this is going on, officers are preparing to search Frank Kearse's home.
Hey, Sean. I've got some addendums.
Addendums?
Yeah, some inventory. Addendums.
Okay. Let me get my clipboard.
If you can take care of that after, Keith photographs stuff. I don't,
Yes, sir. You look like something. I look like a razor. Yeah, you look like. I was like, what is on your wrist, dude? Yes. Yes.
Do we have like placards for the rooms or anything, or do you want me to just follow you guys around and write when you find what you take?
I just follow Keith around.
Okay, so
He's in there photographing right
he's
now.
photographing it.
He's going to try to get overviews of everything before we start.
It's a nice house. They have a nice backyard, too. Sweet flowers up there.
I think he up inside, but it's so nice.
Keith, I was going to say it's such a big house. Keith or Sean could photograph like downstairs or.
I'm trying to, which way his bedroom is?
No.
I'm going to try to knock him out pretty quick. They're just injured.
Okay.
As the search continues, Frank Kearse is in the cruiser outside awaiting the ride to jail, but he has a request.
Could you just knock out a 527 for him right now?
Yeah, I just wanted to know if you want me to add the arrest page.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought
Because it
that.
only had suspect victim.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. I thought that automatically did that in there when you start going to arrest.
Oh, like if you try to print from suspect?
Yeah.
It might. Let me try. He had a question for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a work thing I got to do today on a phone call and kids to pick up. I just kind of wonder what that looks like time-wise.
I I can make a phone call to your wife.
Okay.
You're going to jail. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. Now, I don't know if they're going to cut you loose.
Okay.
All right? At the end of the day, this isn't a violent crime. So,
Sorry?
I said it's not a violent crime, so I know you're probably not familiar, obviously, with
Yeah.
how the jail works.
It's okay,
They're
it's
probably, they may not hold you, but if they do hold you,
Yeah.
you'll see a judge tomorrow.
Okay.
So, I don't know if you want to read it over this, but this is a search warrant for your house.
I'll just leave it. Yeah, that's okay. If we could get out of here, as a courtesy, I'd appreciate that.
I know.
You know. Okay.
Okay. Well, we got to identify your phone. What kind of phone is it?
iPhone, probably by the couch.
Okay. Do you just have one phone?
Yes.
Is it in a case?
I mean, it's just a typical iPhone case.
Okay. All right. What color is it?
Blue case.
All right, you said by the couch?
Somewhere around there.
All right. iPhone by the couch. Not in the bed.
He's got an iWatch. Right here.
Yeah.
I don't know if we photographed that yet.
Did you guys turn this music on?
Eventually, Frank Kearse, a doctor, is taken to the jail in Hamilton County. He's booked on charges of compelling prostitution, importuning, and trafficking in persons. He's searched at the wall in the jail, just as any other inmate would be. An officer wrote in an affidavit, on or about the 19th day of October 2025 at Hamilton County, Ohio, Francis J. Kearse III did solicit a 16-year-old juvenile to engage in sexual activity for hire. Francis J. Kearse III met the girl via Snapchat. Francis J. Kearse III primarily uses his Snapchat account to solicit young females for, quote, sugar daddy relationships. Prior to 10/19/2025, Francis J. Kearse III provided gift cards to the girl before meeting her in person. He described these as nice and trustworthy gestures, but was needing some kind of payback, according to Text Now records. On 10/19/2025, Francis J. Kearse III met the girl on a lot adjacent to Lebanon Road in Sharonville. The girl entered Francis J. Kearse III's vehicle and was driven to the parking lot. Francis J. Kearse III exchanged 2 vape pens and $15 for sex from the teen. Frank Kearse was booked into the jail, his mugshot taken, and a judge ordered him held without bail. But then he was granted bail and released. Then a grand jury indicted him on the same charges, and Kearse was due in court on March 31st to enter a plea. But he didn't show up, and there was no way that Frank Kearse could make it to court because he was dead. The prosecutor announced in court that Kearse had decided to end it all rather than face these criminal charges. Frank Kearse took his own life. So I want to bring in Mark Weaver. He is a prosecutor in the state of Ohio. He has prosecuted sex crimes. He's prosecuted lots of things. Mark, I want to talk to you about the fact that this doctor, Frank Kearse, he decided to end it rather than face the music here. And the county where he lived, Butler County, one county north of Hamilton County, where he was already facing charges, the prosecutor there, Mike Mosier, told Fox 19 News they had charges ready. They were going to move forward and file charges against him in Butler County. So they had more than one victim here. And who knows what can of worms this guy's phone opened for law enforcement, because when the cops went to his door with the search and arrest warrants They said, we got your Snapchat, we got your text now. We got the goods on you.
Yeah, this is the tale of the modern age. I will be in front of the grand jury later today on a few sex offender cases. In most of them, I'm not speaking about my cases necessarily, in most of them, as soon as we get the phone, we get new charges, and everybody has a phone. And so it appears as though with this now deceased defendant, that he probably would have had more charges in Hamilton County, where the first case was, and by all accounts, more in Butler. Any one of these counts could have been a second-degree felony or first-degree felony, and if a judge were to stack those sentences, he could have had a prison sentence of 30, 40, 50 years.
What's so stunning to me about this is that who knows what was going on with this guy, but he obviously, from the outside looking in, and it's always from the outside looking in on the surface, on social media, the guy had a pretty nice looking life. He had a nice big house in the burbs, a wife, 2 really cute kids. He should have it all. And who knows what's going on with him. But the allegation was that he's soliciting underage girls for sex. One of them was 16 years old. Possibly others were younger because of the importuning charge that involves children like 13, I think, according to the statute from what I was reading. But you're the prosecutor. Yikes. Vape pens, gift cards. I want payback. We got to get some payback here. Ew. It's so nasty. So what in the heck is going on with this dude who is now gone? He's no longer with us. That you're willing to throw all of that away by giving some teenage girls, vape pens and gift cards in exchange for sexual favors.
This is a reminder that external characteristics of success are unavailing. Give me, if I had the choice, a modest home with a family who loved me and a lifestyle where I'm not looking over my shoulder, over a mansion where I'm doing these sort of really dastardly deeds in secret and victimizing. These are children, right? The rest of us think, who's going to engage in a sex act for a vape pen or for $15? And the answer is children whose brains aren't even formed yet. Their brains continue forming, and they won't be fully formed until they're in their early to mid-20s, at least for young women. And so he's taking advantage of that. He's also a doctor, so he knows this. It's not like I've had some defendants over the years who aren't quite mentally all there. They're enough to stand trial, but they don't fully understand what they're doing to their victims. A doctor fully understands what he's doing to his victims.
Well, the worst part about this, and we don't have the exact messages, but it sounds like he was meeting up with them on this text now and Snapchat. This is what I'm gathering from just reading the affidavit. But it's like he's like giving them the vape pens and the gift cards. Like that comes first. But then it's like, well, I need payback. So like, is he being friendly with them at first and there's no mention of sex? And then it's like, but I need payback. And then these girls feel pressured because they got some vape pens and $15 and some gift cards to then take part in sexual intercourse, and they're teenage girls and they don't know what the heck to do. And they may be vulnerable anyway. I'm assuming these are girls that may be in vulnerable positions because maybe their parents aren't engaged with them. I don't know, but you know what I mean? So I feel like there's something incredibly coercive. There's like an extra layer of coercion here, aside from the fact that they're underage.
I think you've identified it exactly correctly. These girls don't know any better. They think it's just some guy who's being nice to them, and they don't know any better. They don't know what's coming next. We as adults are all standing off, in the wings of the stage going, don't do that. Something bad's about to happen to you. They don't know that. It reminds me of a case I prosecuted several years ago of a 13-year-old girl who's had a sleepover with other 13-year-old girls, and they decide they want marijuana. And so they call an adult they know, and he drives over, and for $10 of marijuana, he says, one of you is going to have sex with me. And so they sort of drew straws, not literally, but decided the one girl would do it. And for $10 of marijuana, she goes out in the car. That's what happens. We find out. I prosecuted him. He was convicted. But it's a little bit like that. It's not the 13-year-old's fault, even though she, quote unquote, agreed to it. It's the adult's fault, who ought to know that children don't have the capacity to understand what they're doing.
I kind of want to know, like, how in the heck was he even engaging with these kids? I mean, I'm assuming he's on the Snapchat, and then maybe he's just trolling. Maybe he's seeing people and reaching out that way, and then the communication goes over to the text now, where there can be like maybe some easier communication. But then, you know, I'm thinking to myself, you get caught, you know, they come to your house with a search warrant. You're like, oh, can we kind of wrap this? He's in handcuffs, and he's like, can we wrap this up and like kind of keep this quiet? Can we like get this going and get me out of here? Because he doesn't want the neighbors to find out. And then the cop's like, I'm going to call your wife. Can you imagine? So wife is going to find out. I'm sure wife is like livid. These poor children now don't have a father. I'm not really sure how much of a father they had before this happened. It's just really horrific. If he's out meeting up with teenage girls in parking lots. But now we have, you know, the prosecutor going to court, and he's been indicted by a grand jury. He's supposed to show up for court, and then she announces in court, hey, he's not showing up because he's gone. He can't show up. What, as a prosecutor, Mark, what do you have to say about that? Because it sounds like the judge and the prosecutor had wanted him picked up upon indictment, and that didn't happen. He had been held without bond at first, and then I guess his attorney got him out on bond. You know, I guess you could say if he had been held in jail, and you can't always just hold people, but if he had been held in jail, he may still be alive, and there may be some accountability here, because now there's not going to be any accountability.
Yeah, I'd love to catch up with the prosecutor about that. Elise Dieters. I know her and her family well. Her dad was the prosecutor in that county, and I worked closely with him. Her grandmother was a judge in that county, and I worked closely with her. Yeah, so she must be feeling, this is upsetting. I've been there. I had a case, indicted a sheriff's deputy for perjury several years ago, and between the indictment and the trial, he sadly took his own life. And so justice didn't get done in a courtroom, let's put it that way. So there is some criticism, I think, here for the judge. It's a close call on bond. Remember, when a judge is setting bond, at least in Ohio, the judge has to consider, number one, the seriousness of the charge. In this case, these are among the most serious charges possible. Number two, the potential risk to the community if you allow the defendant to be outside of jail while he's awaiting trial. There's some small risk there to the public. And then the third one is likelihood to return for trial. Is this person going to flee and, you know, go to another country? So it is a close call. A zero OR bond, a zero cash OR, own recognizance bond, is probably a little much. Having said that, somebody who's facing what this guy's facing, 30, 40, 50 years in prison, identified as a child sex offender, if he wants to take his own life, he will find a way to do that.
Well, and it wasn't just, you know, and I'm not minimizing these charges at all. We're talking importuning. We're talking solicitation of prostitution of a minor. Of a minor, yeah. And then trafficking in persons. I mean, yikes. And then he was going to be facing additional charges in the other county with, we don't know how many more victims, but we know there was one victim, this 16-year-old girl in Hamilton County, and then Butler County was looking to file more charges on him. So he knows what was in his phone. He knew what was in his Snapchat and his text now. So my God, like, I just can't believe, I'm shocked that they didn't pick him up upon indictment. I am shocked. with that type of background information, because you know that Butler and Hamilton were sharing information, that they didn't go pick him up.
A lot of defendants are surprised that their Snapchat records are gettable by law enforcement. They
Because
think
it's supposed to vanish.
It's supposed to vanish. It doesn't. We regularly get them. Yeah, I've never been in a situation, but we can try to imagine what it'd be like when realization sets in of what the rest of his life is going to look like. And I'm not suggesting he did the right thing by doing what he did. I can just imagine what was going through his head. He, as you mentioned, he must have known that the evidence was all there, and that the notion of, well, I'll just hire a really good lawyer and somehow we'll deal our way out of this, that's unlikely.
Yeah, I don't think there would have been much of a deal to be had there. You know, Mark, whenever we talk about these types of cases, I know we always talk about how you and I are parents, and I don't think we can get this across enough. You know, as a parent, if your kids have these phones or access to electronics at all, you gotta know what they're doing. You gotta know who they're talking to on these apps, or you gotta limit who they can talk to. You got to be in your kid's business.
Yeah, friends of mine and people I know from church and other places often ask me about that because they know that I've prosecuted these kind of cases and they want advice. And my advice is always the same. Number one, young children shouldn't have a phone. And when you get to teenage years, perhaps they should have a phone with significant oversight by the parent. And then when they're out of the house, they can do what they want. Hopefully you've raised them right. But there are numerous ways, and the kids all know it, about how to get around parental oversight. And so there is no substitute for a frank conversation with your children about the nefarious intentions of grown-ups who are acting like they like you for who you are when they really want something from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, this case, I mean, it breaks my heart because there are young girls who they're never going to get justice. And people tried to get justice for them and accountability, and now it's not going to happen, and that makes me sad. Mark Weaver, thank you so much, as always, for your time. I appreciate it.
Sad case, but yeah, thanks for inviting me back.
And that's it for this episode of Crime Fix. I'm Angenette Levy. Thanks so much for being with me. I'll see you back here next time.